All right, so we are starting off with the first chapter. Right. Let's write it down. Okay, so we're talking about characteristics and classification of living organisms. Classification of living organisms. All right, right. So we are starting off with first discussion that biology is study of organism, and organism is a complete living thing. For example, humans, animals, plants, bacterium. Okay, now there are many different kinds of organisms on Earth, but all of them share seven characteristics of life that we have discussed earlier as well. All right, all right. One second. Yes. Right. So we have talked about the seven characteristics of life that are, let's just name them quickly. We have talked about movement, seven characteristics of life. Okay, that are movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion, nutrition. Excretion and nutrition. All right. Now, talking about each of the characteristics one by one. Movement. So all organisms are able to move to some extent, right? And it is basically an action by an organism, any action by an organism that causes change in position or place. Okay. For example, animals, humans can, move their whole body from one place to another. Plants can move slowly and move some parts of themselves, as you might have studied when we talked about your phototropism and geotropism, as your roots and stem move towards sunlight and gravity. Right. So that is an example of movement. Respiration is basically breaking down of your nutrient molecules, glucose, for example, other substances inside the cells to release energy for day-to-day activities. Okay, all organisms perform respiration. Then you have sensitivity. All organisms pick up information, okay, from the surrounding and respond to it accordingly. So it's basically any response to any stimulus. Okay, stimulus is what change in any surroundings. All right. Then we talked about growth. Growth is your increase in number of cells, dry mass, all right, or we can say that organism gets larger. Okay, growth of the cells uh, happens because that causes growth in our organisms. Then you have reproduction. So in reproduction, organisms are able to make new organisms of the same species as themselves. It's not like tiger can give birth to lion. Okay, in the tiger family, when lion is coming, right? So this cannot happen. It is not possible. Then you have excretion. Excretion is basically when all organisms produce all organisms produce unwanted substances, toxic substances, waste product, metabolic waste, excess product. So all of those have to be removed from the body, otherwise they'll build up in the body. Right? Then we have nutrition. Okay. So in nutrition, nutrition. Nutrition is basically taking in of any molecule, or basically you can say neutral molecule for energy. Yeah, because we cannot take any substance that will provide us energy. We have to take specific nutrient molecules for energy. Right? And that energy is used to make new cells, move around, and carry out other day-to-day activities. Are all these life processes clear?
Yeah, miss.
Rest of you?
Yes.
All right. Ahmed and who else? Ibrahim. All right. So let's move on then. All right. So if I talk about your classification system, so biological classification system. So if I talk about classification of organisms, basically your biological classification system. So classification means what? Classification means to put things into groups. Can I say that? So classification means putting things into groups. So there are many possible ways that we could classify organisms. For example, we could, let's say, put all animals with legs in one group and all animals with wings in another group. Okay. But this would mean that there are many organisms with legs and wings. Okay. So they will move into same group. So this will not make sense, right? Because we can easily see insects and vertebrates and very different kinds of animals. So biologists basically try to classify organisms according to how closely they think are related. Yeah, so that's what they're trying to find some relation between animal humans and monkeys as well. They're trying to trace some common ancestor. Okay, so they say that long ago, perhaps approximately 4.5 billion years ago, first living organisms appeared on Earth. Okay, it would have been a single cell organism, obviously, because initially life started with single cell organism. That's what they believe. All right. Okay. Since then, over a very long period of time, this cell gave rise to more organisms. For example, they say that all mammals descended from species that lived over 200 million years ago. So that said that this species was the common ancestor of mammals, and all mammals are related because they all share a relatively recent common ancestor. Okay, so when we classify organisms, okay, we look for features that if they share with others, which suggests that they are related to one another. All right, like we and other mammals, for example, like let's say the other mammals like polar bear, for example. So again, pretty much similarities are there that we give birth to our young ones, they also give birth to the young ones. Okay, they have mammary glands, we also have mammary glands, right? And then they have fur on their, I mean hair, as in like they have a thick layer of hair on their skin for insulation. And we also have, it's not very thick, but obviously we also have a layer of hair on the right on our body. And so hair and feed and feeding its young on milk, that is a very common features of mammal, right? Okay, so if we talk about species, how would you define species? Yes. Yes, how would you define species?
Organisms that are identical to each other.
Very good. Anyone else? Anything else that you would like to add?
Organisms that can give birth to young ones, like they are fertile.
Very good. Anyone else? Anything? Ibrahim, what do you say? Umar, Ahmed. Alright, so Saad and Zoya, you both were right. Okay, so basically, smallest group into which biologists classify living organisms in this species. So we are saying organisms that live together. Obviously, they will be identical. So the point that Sartre said is covered. So organisms that live together and produce offspring, but the thing doesn't end here. We are saying that produce offspring, basically fertile offspring or offspring that can further breed. Okay, that is not infertile and produce fertile offspring. So a group of organisms that live can reproduce with each other to produce offspring that can also reproduce. So we can say that also that produce fertile offspring. Offspring, sorry. Right, for example, very good example when we talk about horse and donkey, when they reproduce together, they produce a mule. Okay, so mule is infertile. So they're not considered a species. Lion and tiger, they make liger. That is infertile. Right, is everyone clear?
Yes.
Yes, so
Yes.
mule cannot breed with a mule.
No, mule is infertile. Okay. All right. Let's move on then. Now let's talk about your binomial naming system. So we have seen that there are certain names for species. Okay, that are written in a certain way. So this is the way the biologists name each species on Earth. Okay. Its scientific name always have two words, and naming system is therefore called a binomial naming system. The bi means two, and nomial means with the thing would do with names. So first name in the binomial name is always the genus. Second is your a genus is what a group of species that are related to one another. All right, and second is your species. Genus is always written with a capital letter. Second name tells you which species does the organism belong to, and that is written with a small letter. You can see, for example, and it is written in italics. Okay, for example, if I write Homo sapiens, the name for humans. Okay, 1 second. Let me just type it out. 1 second. Okay. Okay, let me just reshare it. Okay, see, this is what it will look like. Homo sapiens, right? So this is the name for humans. So see, this is italicized. Genus is capital, species is small. All right. All right. Now, if I talk about your dichotomous key,
Miss, could you explain what
yes,
genus is again?
yes, genus is basically a group of species that are related to one another. All right. So genus is
Okay.
no problem. Group of species. I'll write it down. That are related to one another. That are related to one another. And species are obviously different species. Okay. Okay, now I was talking about dichotomous key. Okay, so if you want to identify or basically, yeah, identify an organism whose name you do not know, so you will be able to find a picture of it in a book. Okay, but not every organism is pictured. So what will you do of those organisms which are not pictured? All right, so you can basically use a dichotomous key to work out what the organism looks like. So the word dichotomous means branching or dividing into two. You might have seen in past paper questions when they give you a key and ask you certain features and they tell you that if this is there, go to this number, or if it's not there, go to this number, and then at the end you end up with an organism, right? I hope you all of you have seen this, right? Yes.
Yes.
All right. So this dichotomous key is a way of leading people who are looking into your naming of organisms, okay, by giving you two descriptions at a time and asking you to choose between them. Okay. Each choice you make then leads to another pair of description until you end up with the name of the organism. Okay. This is how it works. All right. Any questions? Okay, quickly note this down and we're going to talk about your kingdoms. Quickly, within 2 minutes. All right, rest of you.
I'm done.
Okay, Umar, Ahmed, Ibrahim. Okay, Ibrahim, what about you? I haven't heard from all class.
Some good.
All right, done. Let's move on. Okay, let's move on then. Right, so everyone's done. Right, great. Now we'll be starting a discussion from kingdoms. All right, so kingdom. Right, so kingdoms. Okay, so we have seen that species is the smallest group into which living organisms are classified. Okay, now we'll be talking about the largest groups. There are kingdoms of the largest groups are basically larger groups of organisms are called kingdoms. Largest groups of organisms. Okay, these are the kingdoms of living organisms. So kingdoms with which we are all familiar are the animal and plant kingdoms. So first let's begin with those. Animal kingdom. So animals are usually very easy to recognize. Most animals move very actively looking for food. Okay. And basically, if you look at the characteristic features, the cells have no nucleus, astaghfirullah, no cell wall, nucleus, and they have no cell wall, no chloroplast. So that is a very distinctive feature of differentiating animals from plants. That they have no cell wall and chloroplast. Okay. So they're basically heterotrophic. Heterotrophic means that they feed on other organisms. Okay. They have a nucleus, very important, mitochondria, cell membrane, all of those things, very important organelles. Okay. And no cell wall and chloroplast. They have other organelles. Okay. They have mitochondria, cell membrane, ribosomes, everything's there. There's no cell wall and chloroplast. Alright. And now if I talk about your plant kingdom. We will talk about them in detail when we discuss each of them, organisms from each of them in detail, inshallah. So plant kingdom. So plants that are familiar to us are the flowering plants, which include most kind of trees. Okay, say flowering and non-flowering in them. Okay. So the point is that these plants have leaves, stems, roots, and flowers. Okay, so flowering plant have leaves, stems, roots, and flowers. Sorry. Okay. However, there are other types of plants as well that are ferns and mosses that do not have flowers. Okay, non-flowering as well. Okay. They are ferns and mosses that do not have flowers. So they do not contain flowers. They have the other things, they don't have flowers. But what all of it's common in all of them is that you have what they have green color. Okay, that is caused by a pigment chlorophyll. So chloroplast containing chlorophyll, which gives the plant green color. Okay, now chlorophyll absorbs energy from the sunlight. Chlorophyll absorbs energy from the sunlight. Absorbs energy from the sunlight and uses it to make food by the process of photosynthesis. Make food of photosynthesis. All right. So if I talk about the characteristic features of your animals, sorry, plants. Yeah, what were I saying? Yeah, unlike plants, unlike animals, your plants do not need to move around to get their food because they're adapted to remain in one place. Okay, they often have a spreading shape that allows them to capture as much sunlight as possible. Okay, under the microscope, we can see the cells of plants have cell walls. Okay, so the characteristic feature is that they have cell wall like chloroplast. Talk about the features. You have a nucleus. Cell wall like chloroplast. The cell wall is made up of what is the material that makes a plant cell wall? Yes,
Cellulose.
very good. And often contain chloroplast, right? So it's not like not all plants contain chloroplast, okay? Most of them contain chloroplast and chloroplast. They are autotrophic, so they feed by photosynthesis, they make their own food, they're autotrophic. And they may have root stems and leaves. But some plants do not have these organs, so they are different. Okay, so I can say they may have root stems and leaves. Some plants don't have this, so that's why I said may. Right, all good, all clear? Plants, animal clear?
Yes.
Rest of you? Ibrahim,
Yeah,
Imran,
miss.
Omlad, great, Umar. Okay, done. Okay. Now let's talk about the five kingdoms. So, as well as the animal and plant kingdom, there are three other kingdoms in which organisms are classified. You have kingdom fungus, prokaryotes, and protoctists. First, let's talk about the fungus kingdom. We also call them kingdom fungi or fungus. You can call it anything. Okay, so, fungus kingdom. There's a total five kingdoms, right? So, we talked about main plants and animals. Now, let's talk about fungus. Then we'll talk about protoctists and we'll talk about prokaryotes. Initially, for a very long period of time, your fungi was classified into plants, right? But now we know that they're really very different and belong to one separate kingdom. That is your kingdom fungi, their own kingdom. Okay. So mushrooms and toadstools are your fungi or fungi, whatever you want to call them. Mushrooms and toadstools. And toadstools are fungi. Okay, so firstly, and they're colorful and easy to spot. That's the point is. Okay, however, the main body of the fungi, basically including mushroom and toadstool, is made up of microscopic threads called hyphae. Main body is made up of hyphae. Okay, these are made up of many cells joined end to end, and these cells have cell walls. And what is the fungal cell wall made up of? Yes,
I think it's chitin.
chitin. Very good, excellent. Okay. Now, they do not have chlorophyll, do not photosynthesize. They feed. So the mode of nutrition is what? You name the term. What's the mode of nutrition of fungi? Yes. Can anyone name it? How do they feed?
Heterotrophic.
Excellent. Saprotrophically or parasitically. Very good, Shad. Mode of nutrition is saprophytic or parasitic. saprophytic, or parasitic. And they feed on organic material like feces, human food, dead plants, or animals. Okay, so many fungi are decomposers as well. Okay, so basically they break down waste material from other organisms and dead organisms. So this also helps, to return the nutrients from the soil and other into the soil that other organisms can use for the growth. Okay, they reproduce by forming spores. By spores. Okay, they are basically these are tiny groups of cells with tough protective outer covering, and they can spread by the wind, animals, or and they can grow to form new fungus. Okay, if I talk about the features, so their features are okay. Firstly, we said that the multicellular. Okay, but some like yeast are unicellular. Okay, so we can say usually multicellular. You can say yeast is multicellular, unicellular. Sorry, nucleus and cell wall made up of chitin, made of no chlorophyll, and they feed by digesting waste products or absorbing it with the cells. Alright, then we talk about Protoctus kingdom or kingdom Protoctista, you call it whatever. Okay, so kingdom Protoctista basically contains a mixed collection of organisms. Initially it was also called Dustbin Kingdom because whatever organism was not identified, they threw it in the kingdom Protoctista. So they have cells with the nucleus, but some have plant-like cells with chloroplasts and cellulose cell walls, while other have animal-like cells without these features. Okay, most Protoctista are unicellular, but some like seaweeds are also multicellular. Because they're very weird. So I can say it contains a mixed collection of organisms. They all have cells with a nucleus, but some have plant-like cells with chloroplast. Okay, so we can just directly write the features. And you say, some are animal-like, whereas some are plant-like. You can just say that way. Some are animal-like, whereas some are plant-like. Alright. Alright. Okay. So talk about the features. Alia, you're 30 minutes late.
Sorry, miss, I didn't know there was a class today.
So I told you to text me yesterday, remember? I would have sent you to your
Yes.
schedule.
No, I have the schedule now.
Okay, you have it already. Great. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 8 p.m. Pakistan time. Alright.
Okay.
Now you can watch the recording, okay, of the class.
Okay.
Alright, so let me just reshare this. It's multicellular. Sorry. Multicellular or unicellular. Okay. Cells have a nucleus, may or may not have cell wall and chloroplast. Okay. Contain nucleus, may or may not have cell wall and chloroplast. May or may not have cell wall and chloroplast. Okay, some feed by photosynthesis, other feed by. So some are autotrophic, some are heterotrophic. Some are autotrophic, whereas others are alhamdulillah, heterotrophic. All right. Let's talk about the last kingdom. That is your kingdom prokaryota, a prokaryotic kingdom. Prokaryote kingdom. So your prokaryote kingdom. 1 second. So prokaryote kingdom basically contains a large number of organisms, but we are completely unaware of them. Okay, so bacteria firstly belong to this kingdom. Let me just copy a diagram of this prokaryote. Then I'll show you how it looks like. 1 second. I'm just copying a diagram. And then I'll reshare it. All right, here. Okay, this is what it looks like. Bacteria belong to this kingdom. So they basically have a cell wall that is made up of. What's the material that makes up your bacterial cell wall? Yes.
Peptidoglycan.
Very good. So you answered, right?
Yes, miss.
Okay, good. Very good. So it is made up of peptidoglycan. Okay. Now, bacteria have cells that are very different from cells of the organism in other four kingdoms. Okay. Firstly, is they do not have a nucleus. Okay. They have a chromosome. Okay. That is basically, see this lying in your cytoplasm, or basically called the cytoplasm, alright? Alright. And they have plasmids as well that contain the bacterium genes, and these are used in your genetic modification. You will study this in the further chapters, inshallah. All right. Now, some bacteria are very important, for example, in the nitrogen cycle, the nitrogen fixing bacteria, right? Some other bacteria as well. We have bacteria in our gut as well. That is very helpful. All right. They have important roles. All right. So there are many useful bacteria as well. Okay. And plus, there are some photosynthetic bacteria as well. So bacteria can perform photosynthesis as well. Some bacteria can carry out photosynthesis. Can carry out photosynthesis. But even the oldest fossils, they belong to this kingdom. So we think that, they were among the first kind of organisms to appear. Okay, because scientists are obviously working on this. We can't really, state this with like surety, but that is what is thought. Recently, biologists have also discovered bacteria living in rocks, okay, more than 3 kilometers beneath the Earth's surface. Okay, so most organisms belonging to this kingdom are unicellular. So the characteristic features are obviously the features of their cells. Okay, so let's see the features. Firstly, usually unicellular. Most of them are unicellular. I mean, the majority are unicellular. No nucleus. Cell wall made up of cellulose. Not made up of cellulose, made up of peptidoglycan. Cell wall made up of. Sorry. Okay, so no mitochondria. Because see, they're usually unicellular, right? So they don't really need proper, processes to, carry out in their cell, like, proper systems to carry out processes. Like, respiration, we need proper channels in our body. Because we're complex organisms, we're multicellular organisms. That's why, they're unicellular. They can directly do gas exchange, okay? Circular loop of DNA between the cytoplasm. That is basically plasmid. So it's a circular loop of DNA. Oh, sorry, plasmid is separate and they have circular loop of DNA as well. So you can see this loop of DNA that is free in the cytoplasm. So we're talking about this one, the chromosome part. And plasmid is separate, okay? That contains the bacterium genes. So I'm saying loop of DNA which is free in the cytoplasm. Alright, is this clear? Are all the 5 kingdoms clear to all of you?
Miss, please show the diagram again.
Yes, I'm showing it to you. Is everything clear to everyone? All the 5 kingdoms are they clear?
Yes.
Miss, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
What is the difference between a plasmid and a free DNA?
See, free DNA is something that controls the activities. Okay, because there's no nucleus over here. There's no concept of nucleus. Right? So what has to happen, what proteins need to be made, whatever is happening, that is controlled by your chromosome. The free DNA. Okay. Plasmid is the genes. Okay, that you can take out of your bacteria and manipulate it and use it, insert it in the bacteria again and use it to make human genes as well. Right, so in us you have nucleus, right, that controls the genes making, and you have chromosome is separate, right? There is no proper nucleus setup here because it's a simple organism, right? Single celled. There's two different things. Activities are controlled by chromosome and genes are plasmid. Is this clear? Plasmid has
Yes.
nothing to do with controlling the activities.
Okay, thank
All right.
you.
Whatever simple activities, there are some activities, obviously, it's a living organism, but simple at least, those activities are controlled by this free loop of DNA. Everyone else, Ahmad, Ibrahim, and Umar, are all of you clear?
Yes.
Ibrahim? Okay, great. Alright, so I'll scroll up. Please note down the kingdoms from fungi. Saad, can I move up? Are you done with the diagram?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Please note this down quickly. Fungus and protoctist is prokaryote. Okay, this is prokaryote. Yes. You note this down.
Miss,
Yes.
could you explain, the terms that you're using, like heterotrophic or saprophytic? Could you like
Yes,
explain?
yes. Yes. See, autotrophic is an organism that makes its own food. Okay, done. Heterotrophic is someone that consumes made food. Alright.
Yes,
These two
Miss.
are simple, clear. Okay. Saprophytic and parasitic that I only used for which kingdom? Fungi, right?
Fungi.
Very good. Yes. So that means saprophytic means feeding on dead materials. Parasitic is also similar. Okay, because parasites attack dead material, right? So they usually feed on organic material. I told you, like feces, human food, dead plants or animals. Right? So feeding on dead substances is called saprophytic or parasitic nutrition. So their mode of nutrition is saprophytic or parasitic.
So what's the difference between these two?
Of saprophytic and parasitic.
Yes.
See, that's why we use or, right? It's kind of the same, but if I explain it to you, see, saprophytic is basically they are getting your nutrients from dead and decaying organic matter. Right? Even bacteria are examples of saprophytes. They also play an important role in ecosystem by recycling dead materials through carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle. Parasites are getting their nutrients from living host. Parasite. When we say usually we talked about organisms, and parasites are attached to living organisms. Parasitic is from living material.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sapro is dead, para is living. But we usually say it's parasitic or saprophytic. Usually we say saprophytic mode of nutrition. Like majority of the times it's saprophytic, but since there are some cases of parasitic as well, so I wrote parasitic as well. Okay, so sometimes they can harm the host as well. Like protozoa, some parasites. There's some parasites that infect that affect humans too. Alright, clear?
Okay, thank you.
So that is dead and decaying. This is from living organism. Again, they are taking nutrients from both, but one is dead, one is decaying. Oh, sorry, so one is living. All right. Anyone else? Any questions? Please ask.
Miss? So
Yes.
the prokaryote kingdom, they're
Mm-hmm.
autotrophic or heterotrophic?
You tell me. Prokaryotes make their own food.
Uh, the some carry out photosynthesis.
So there are. So again, so like I said, some bacteria can perform photosynthesis. So they are both.
Oh, okay.
Right. Some cannot. So they are hetero. Some can. So they are auto.
Okay, thanks.
All right, no problem. Can I scroll down? Is everyone done?
Yes.
I'm done.
Okay,
Yeah.
scroll down. All right. Ahmed, Ibrahim, and Umar, please. All right, great. Okay, great. So you guys are done now. All right. So I'll be keeping it till here. All right. One second. Let me just. I'm posting you. I'm posting in the chat the link for the Google Classroom. Okay. Tests and everything will be posted here. All right. Any notification, anything. Right. And just to tell you guys, there'll be 2 tests per month. Okay. I will be posting them here. Once again, just post the link. Please join it. All right. Here. I posted it in the chat box. All right, so we are done with all the kingdoms and all. Next class, inshallah, we are gonna start off with the groups within the animal and plant kingdom. Recording video, I have a drive link. Okay, I'll post that as well. One second. Just give me a second. Let me just copy the link of drive as well. All the previous chapters recordings are there. Okay, so from today the crash recordings will be appear as well. Crash course recordings. Okay, drive. Okay, you will have to send me a request for access. Okay, just send it to me and I'll accept it. Second. This is IG Advance. Right. Okay.
Miss, what have you written for the purpose of flagellum?
Flagellum swim in water. It helps to move in water. Okay. So locomotion, swimming in water.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
All right. No problem. Let me just find the drive. It's IG Advance. Um, meet recordings. All right. Here we have IG Advance. Here is the link. All right. Not copying. Okay. Here. Here is the link for the drive. Okay. All the recordings are posted here from the previous all 21 chapters, and today's recording will also be posted here. All right. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay. So, like I was saying, next class, inshallah, we are going to start off with groups within the animal and plant kingdom. All right. And then you're going to move on, and inshallah, we'll talk about viruses and finish the chapter, inshallah. All right. Any questions, anyone? All good, all clear?
Everything clear, Miss.
All right. All right. So, that's all for today. I will see you in the next class, inshallah, then.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.